In our headlines on this Thursday, October 24th, here in South Korea, the US and NATO reaffirm reports by Ukraine and South Korea of North Korean troop deployment to Russia for training and possible military duty against Kyiv in support of the Kremlin. Meanwhile, findings for the third quarter show South Korea's gross domestic product marked a rather modest growth of 0.1% on quarter, lower than market expectations owing to an ease in exports. And third quarter business report cards for SK hynix and Hyundai Motor revealed stellar performances by the two companies, with both revenues and net profits soaring on year. The US has confirmed the deployment of North Korean troops to Russia for military training, and NATO has shared the same confirmation. Our correspondent Kim Jong-sil has the latest.
The White House says it has evidence that North Korean troops have been deployed to Russia, marking a significant development in the ongoing war in Ukraine.
We assess that between early to mid-October, North Korea moved at least 3,000 soldiers into eastern Russia. We assess that these soldiers traveled by ship from the Wonsan area in North Korea to Vladivostok, Russia.
The spokesperson noted that while the soldiers are currently in training, it remains unclear whether they'll join Russian forces in combat, though he said it is a highly concerning probability.
I can tell you one thing, though. If they do deploy to fight against Ukraine, they're fair game. They're fair targets.
NATO has also confirmed evidence of the deployment. Spokesperson Farah Daklala warned that if North Korean soldiers enter combat, it would mark a significant escalation in Pyongyang support for Russia, further highlighting Russia's losses on the front lines. South Korea's National Intelligence Service earlier reported that around 3,000 North Korean soldiers had already been sent to Russia, with the number expected to reach 10,000 by December. The UN is also watching closely. Farhan Haq, deputy spokesperson for the UN Secretary General, said any violations would be referred to the Security Council's Sanctions Committee. Meanwhile, Ukraine is calling on North Korean soldiers to surrender, promising shelter and safety through the I Want to Live initiative. While North Korea has denied sending troops, Moscow issued a strong warning on Wednesday. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova cautioned that South Korea could face security consequences if it intervenes in the war in Ukraine, referring to Seoul's recent decision to consider implementing phased measures against a growing military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, here in South Korea, a North Korean waste-carrying balloon landed within the presidential compound in the wee hours of Thursday morning. According to the Presidential Security Service, no harmful material has been detected. The waste did, however, include leaflets containing criticism of President Yoon Suk-yeol and First Lady Kim Gon-hee. This latest incident follows the most recent floating of such balloons into South Korea by North Korea overnight. Now, since May, the regime has floated thousands of waste-carrying balloons across the border in response to anti-Pyongyang leaflets sent by activists here in South Korea. President Yoon Suk-yeol and his Polish counterpart Andrzej Duda believe North Korea's defiant deployment of troops for training to Russia threatens the security framework of the broader international community. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
Perhaps a timely summit. President Yoon Suk-yeol on Thursday hosted the president of a key partner and a border country to Ukraine, Poland's Andrzej Duda, for a state visit. President Yoon Suk-yeol took the chance to deliver another statement regarding North Korea's recent deployment of troops to support Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
특히 유엔 헌장과 안보리 결의를 정면으로 위반하는 북한의 러시아 파병은 한반도와 유럽을 넘어 전 세계의 안보를 위협하는 도발이라는 점에 의견을 같이 했습니다.
President Yoon's support for Ukraine is in fact tied closely with Poland. When he was in Poland for a visit in July last year, he made a surprise trip to Ukraine. The preparation and the visit itself were supported by Poland. In the meantime, Duda's visit completed the two leaders' exchanges of the highest level of diplomatic welcomes, and this was the first state visit by a Polish leader to South Korea in 11 years. And as many expected, one key area of cooperation was the defense industry. The two leaders discussed further strengthening and expanding exchanges in this area. In 2022, Poland signed procurement deals worth 17 trillion won, or $12.3 billion to buy K2 tanks, K9 self-propelled howitzers, Fa-50 light attack aircraft, and Chunmoo multiple rocket launchers from South Korea to bolster its defenses in the wake of the Russia-Ukraine war. The two leaders discussed a deal for a second round of K2 procurement worth $7 billion within this year. And it doesn't stop in the defense industry.
양국은 지금까지 쌓아온 신뢰를 바탕으로 국방 방산 당국 간 정례 협의체를 가동하고 상호 안보와 국방에 기여할 수 있는 협력 방안을 함께 모색해 나갈 것입니다.
Other areas for more cooperation included clean energy and nuclear power, as well as advanced technology. The two leaders also pledged more cultural and civilian exchanges with increased direct flights from the two countries. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Over in Turkey, its arms and aerospace technology company was attacked by two assailants on Wednesday. At least 5 losses of lives have been confirmed and more than 20 injured. Our Lee Sing-jae reports.
A deadly attack targeting a state-run space and defense company near the Turkish capital of Ankara on Wednesday killed at least 5 people and injured 22 others. 2 assailants, 1 man and 1 woman, were seen entering the Turkish aerospace industry's headquarters with assault rifles. The attack claimed the lives of 4 employees and the taxi driver who had driven the 2 assailants to the facility. Both of the attackers were killed by Turkish military and police who arrived at the scene. While no group has claimed responsibility for Wednesday's deadly attack, Turkish Defense Chief Yasar Gular said the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, could be behind it. The country's interior minister also said that while authorities are trying to identify the attackers, the initial assessment points to the PKK. The PKK has been listed as a terrorist organization by Turkey, the United States, and the European Union. The attack took place a day after Kurdish relations were brought up in the Turkish parliament, where the leader of the Nationalist Movement Party suggested offering to release PKK's jailed leader if the organization disbanded. The attack also occurred as a major defense and aerospace trade fair was taking place in Istanbul, attended by Ukraine's foreign minister. Lee Sing-jae, Arirang News.
Findings for the third quarter show Korea's gross domestic product marked a rather modest growth of 0.1% on quarter, lower than market expectations owing to an ease in auto shipments overseas. Our correspondent Moon Hae-ryun has details.
South Korea's economic growth has fallen short of earlier forecasts due to sluggish auto exports. Data from the Bank of Korea on Thursday showed that the country's GDP grew by a modest 0.1% between July and September this year, compared to the previous quarter. While this marked an improvement from the 0.2% contraction in the second quarter, the growth rate fell short of the central bank's earlier forecast in August of 0.5%. The country's GDP has seen fluctuations this year, with a 1.3% increase in the first quarter of the year followed up with the biggest decline seen since 2022. The BOK attributed the sluggish growth to a decline in exports of 0.4% in the third quarter, particularly in non-IT products such as vehicles and chemical goods. It's the first time since the fourth quarter of 2022 that exports have fallen quarter on quarter. Facility renovations at auto production plants as well as partial strikes at auto parts companies have contributed to sluggish auto exports, as well as what is being called a chasm for the electric vehicle market.
For chemical goods and electrical equipment, demand for materials that go into making electronic vehicles and batteries is going down along with lower demand for EVs.
Construction investment also dwindled due to a slump in civil engineering and building construction. Domestic demand, however, showed recovery as expected, led by increases in private consumption of goods and services as well as facility investment. As we move forward, the BOK's August forecast said the country's economy will expand by 0.6% in the next quarter, and the overall annual growth will come to 2.4%. The central bank is expected to release a revised growth forecast in November, taking into account the latest economic data and global developments, meaning it could lower its growth forecast for 2024 due to the weaker-than-expected third-quarter performance. The International Monetary Fund also forecast earlier this week that South Korea's GDP per capita would rise 1.6% this year compared to the previous year, overtaking Japan. Moon Hae-ryung, Arirang News.
In the corporate sector, third-quarter business report cards for SK hynix and Hyundai Motor reveal stellar performances by the two companies, with their revenues soaring on year. Our Shin Ha-young has more.
The world's second-largest memory chip maker SK hynix achieved its highest-ever quarterly revenue, operating profit, and net income in the third quarter. The company announced on Thursday that for the July to September period, it posted an operating profit of a little over 7 trillion Korean won, or around $5 billion, swinging back into the black compared to the same period last year. Its revenue surged 93.8% year-on-year to about $12.7 billion, breaking the record set in the previous quarter. The company's net income reached around $4 billion, also shifting into the black from the same period last year. Both operating profit and net income broke records set during the semiconductor boom in the third quarter of 2018. SK hynix attributed its strong performance to a high demand for AI high-capacity chips and increased sales of premium products such as high-bandwidth memory or HBM semiconductors. Its sales of HBM chips jumped over 70% from the previous quarter and more than 330% year-on-year. SK hynix is a key supplier of HBM to the US AI chip giant NVIDIA. The company plans to start supplying 12-layer HBM3E products in the fourth quarter and expects HBM sales, which made up 30% of total DRAM revenue in the third quarter, to rise to 40% in the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, leading car maker Hyundai Motor reported its highest third-quarter revenue of around $31 billion on Thursday, up 4.7% year-on-year. However, its operating profit dropped 6.5% to around $2.6 billion. The decline was mainly due to warranty expenses related to its Santa Fe SUVs and the effects of a global slowdown in car demand. The company sold just over 1 million vehicles during the third quarter, a decline of over 3% due to slower growth in global markets and rising geopolitical risks. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
A personal passion for fishing has prompted a few young people here to take the sport up as a profession. Keeping this in mind, those already in the industry believe more can be done to support this career transition to better benefit an aging fishing community. Our correspondent Lee Soo-jin explains.
Once vibrant and full of life, fishing villages along the coast of South Korea are slowly dying. But Chung Hee-chang, who is in his 30s, moved just 3 months ago to one such village on Yoon-Duda Island in the port city of Incheon.
I worked as an IT programmer for 6 or 7 years, but my passion for fishing led me to switch careers.
He meets with a local fisherman almost daily to learn the skills needed for his new job. Chung previously took an education program by the local government, which is encouraging more young people to enter the fisheries industry through hands-on experiences and guest lectures from successful fishermen.
It looks like I can earn more than I did when I worked in an office. You can also take breaks whenever you want.
Ha Do-gun, who also became a fisherman in his 30s after over a decade in the delivery business, mentioned the same perks after 4 years in the profession.
The best part is that if you go out and work more, you'll also make more.
He not only now has 6 deckhands under him, but is also a proud owner of a fishing boat worth around 300 million won, or $220,000 US, thanks to support funds from the local government. And his success, he says, was only possible due to training from seasoned fishermen like Cha Jong-up, who has over 20 years of experience. But while some locals like Cha are eager to pass down their knowledge, others are less open to newcomers.
Everyone's old. The average age is over 60. I believe we need new fishermen, but there's limited space for casting nets, so locals should share it with newcomers.
In 2023, 48% of the fishing village population were aged 65 and older, more than twice the national average, underscoring the need for younger people. But while financial support and training are crucial, he stressed that the government must also bridge the generational gap through measures that include mediating how fishing spots are used. With a steady influx of younger individuals in the future as well, more generational transitions like this are expected to occur in fishing villages across the nation, revitalizing and preserving the economy and social fabric of coastal regions. 이수진, Arirang News.
And for those of you here in Korea interested in the latest advances in Korea's aviation industry, a trip to the southern city of Sacheon may prove to be quite appealing as a dynamic airshow fills the skies well into the weekend. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung was there.
Aircraft soar up into the sky, showcasing Korea's very own aviation prowess. At Sacheon, dubbed the center of the aerospace industry, with Korea Aerospace Industries and the recently opened Korea Aerospace Administration nestled in the region, the 2024 Airshow kicked off on Thursday. This is the first year the show is hosted with the Korean Air Force after it decided to do so biannually. Being the only air show in the southern region, it gives a chance for people to see an array of demonstration flights by domestically produced aircraft such as the LAH, a light armored helicopter, the supersonic T-50 trainer, and the KT-1 basic training aircraft. Aviation enthusiasts can see a range of flight displays. One particular highlight is Korea's next-generation fighter jet KF-21, also known by its Korean name, Borame. This next-generation combat aircraft with indigenous technology, marking a historical milestone in the progress of Korea's aviation industry, was on ground display for the first time in 2022, and it is now performing a demonstration flight for the Sacheon Airshow 2024, its first in the region. Another popular event to watch is the Korean Air Force's Black Eagles aerobatic display team. As the Air Force's only special flight team, consisting of 8 T-50s, it will showcase various aerobatic flying maneuvers.
The tornado maneuver is an advanced aerial display where 8 aircraft move as if they are one, performing in a vertical circular formation before splitting off in 8 directions and landing individually. It is one of the most challenging maneuvers as it requires an incredible level of teamwork to the point where pilots can almost feel each other's breath.
The air show will last for 4 days until this Sunday. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Sacheon.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. The American fast food giant McDonald's quarter-pounder burgers have been linked to an E. coli outbreak across several states. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 49 cases of E. coli linked to McDonald's food have been reported so far. 1 person has died and 10 have been hospitalized across 10 states. The ongoing CDC investigation that opened on Tuesday reported that most victims in this E. coli outbreak are reporting to have eaten the quarter-pounder hamburger at McDonald's before becoming sick. While the exact cause of the outbreak is unknown, McDonald's has stopped the use of silvered onions and quarter-pound beef patties in several states. The CDC said most of the illnesses have been reported in Colorado and Nebraska. E. coli causes symptoms such as diarrhea, fever, and vomiting that may be fatal, although most recover without treatment within a week. Now to Malaysia, where 22 members of Islamic business group GISB, including its CEO, saw charges brought against them for being members of an organized criminal group. The suspects, linked to Global Ikhwan Services and business holdings, appeared in court on Wednesday and included the CEO, Naziruddin Mohammed Ali, and his wife, both of whom were detained last month for alleged human trafficking, money laundering, and sexual abuse, after more than 500 children from GISP-linked welfare homes were rescued by police. Malaysian police and Islamic authorities said they are also investigating the claims of GISP's involvement in deviant teachings of the banned Islamic cult Al-Arqam, while the group's bank accounts have been frozen. Now the 22 suspects each face up to 20 years in jail if found guilty. A new record has been set as LA Dodgers batter Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run ball sold for $4.39 million, the highest price paid for any ball from any sport in an auction. The ball is from when Ohtani became the first Major League Baseball player to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a single season on September 19th. According to New Jersey-based auction house Goldin on Wednesday, Ohtani's 50-50 ball broke the previous record held by Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball from the 1998 season, which sold for $3 million in 1999. LA Lakers basketball player LeBron James and his son Bronny James became the first father-son duo to play together in a regular season NBA game on Tuesday. The sold-out crowd cheered 20-year-old Bronny James onto the court to play alongside his father, where he caught a rebound in his 3 minutes of action, while LeBron, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, contributed 16 points for the Lakers' victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves in their season opener. 39-year-old LeBron had previously said it is one of his remaining goals in basketball to play with his son, who was the 55th pick of this June's NBA draft. LeBron is now in his 22nd NBA season and remains a key player with no mentions of retirement yet. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Today, clear autumn weather continued across the country. With clear skies, the air is clean all over the country. However, due to the large daily temperature differences, temperatures drop sharply when the sun goes down. Make sure to take a warm jacket when you go out. From today, the waves will be high on the east coast. Tomorrow, there will be strong winds on the southern coast and Jeju Island. When approaching waterfront, you should pay attention to avoid any accidents. Tomorrow, Chuncheon will start off at 7 degrees Celsius, Gwangju and Gyeongju 11 degrees. Highs will move up to 23 in Seoul, Daegu and Gyeongju, Gwangju and Busan and Jeju 24 degrees. Until the weekend, inland areas will be generally clear, and the daily temperature differences will be large due to the rise of daytime temperatures around the west. It is expected to rain mainly in the south and on Jeju Island from the weekend. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, and today we touch upon Asia's first climate litigation ruling.